At 4:51 a.m. in Washington's Yakima Valley, the first headlights are already moving through the orchards. Not machines, not combines, not the diesel roar of grain equipment. Just hands. 50,000 pairs of them, moving systematically through 175,000 acres of apple trees. Before the frost closes in, it's late August. The Galas are ready. And in this valley, ready means now. The Yakima Valley sits in a rain shadow carved by the Cascade Mountains. The Columbia River keeps the soil workable. Hot days, cold nights, it's the combination that concentrates sugar in fruit. Agricultural scientists call it diurnal temperature variation. The growers call it what it is: luck, geography, and 80 years of irrigation infrastructure. 70% of the apples eaten in the United States this year were grown here. Not in California. Not in the Midwest. Here, in a stretch of south-central Washington, roughly 200 miles long and 50 miles wide. That number has to be understood at ground level to mean anything. 70%. Every apple in your refrigerator, every school lunch bag in New York, Atlanta, and Houston, every cider press in Vermont, every grocery display in Phoenix, overwhelmingly Yakima. And it happens in 8 weeks. The harvest runs from late August through the first week of November. 10 varieties. Sequential ripening. Each variety commanding a 1 to 3 week picking window that cannot be extended, cannot be paused, and cannot be rescheduled. The weather decides when it starts. The weather decides when it ends. Everything in between is logistics, labor, and speed. The Gala comes first. By the last week of August, orchard managers have been watching sugar content for 10 days. Refractometers, handheld instruments that measure Brix levels, are checked daily. When a Gala reads between 11 and 13 degrees Brix and the skin has turned from green to that familiar blush red, the call goes out. Crews rotate in. A typical Yakima operation runs in blocks, 40 to 120 acres per picking crew, with crew sizes ranging from 25 to 60 workers depending on tree density and terrain. The orchards here are not flat. Many run along hillside slopes where machines cannot reach. Every apple in those blocks is picked by hand. A skilled picker in Yakima will harvest between 20 and 30 bins per day. Each bin holds roughly 900 pounds of fruit. Do the math. That's 18,000 to 27,000 pounds, moved, placed, and padded by 2 hands in a canvas picking bag worn across the chest. Speed is a craft here, not rushing, not grabbing. The motion is a controlled pull and twist. The apple releases clean from the spur, without tearing the bark. Torn spurs mean no fruit next year. The trees are not just this year's crop. They're 10-year investments. Crew leaders walk the blocks behind the pickers, checking for bruising, for green fruit pulled early, for skipped clusters hidden in the canopy interior. Quality control doesn't start at the packing house. It starts at the tree. Most of the crews arriving in late August have been here before. The H-2A agricultural visa program brings temporary workers to the valley each season, the majority traveling from Mexico and Central America. These are not first-time pickers arriving unfamiliar with the work. Many have been making this same journey for 10, 15, 20 years. Some have sons and daughters working alongside them now. They follow the calendar. Yakima in late August, Oregon wine grapes in September, California citrus in winter. The harvest circuit is a route they know by the quality of the lodging, the personality of the crew bosses, and the density of the canopy they worked the previous fall. By 5:30 a.m., most crews have already eaten breakfast and boarded transport vans. The first bins are hitting the orchard floor before sunrise. By the time ambient light is strong enough to work without headlamps, the morning's first pass through the block is already half finished. After the Gala, the sequence continues. Honeycrisp follows in early September. This is the high-stakes fruit. Honeycrisp commands premium prices, sometimes 3 times the Gala shelf value, but it is also the most unforgiving variety to harvest. The skin bruises with minimal pressure. Pickers slow their pace, more care per apple, more time per bin. A Honeycrisp block that comes in with visible bruising at the packing house gets downgraded, not pulled from sale, downgraded. The difference between Grade A and Grade B pricing on a single semi-truckload can be $4,000 to $8,000. Growers know this. Crew leaders know this, and the workers know it too. After Honeycrisp come the Fuji and Pink Lady varieties, moving into October. By the time crews reach them, the morning temperatures in the valley have dropped into the low 40s. Frost advisories begin appearing on weather apps around the 3rd week of October. Frost is not a nuisance here. It's a shutdown signal. A hard freeze event on a Fuji block that's 60% harvested is not an inconvenience. It's a financial loss that can reach hundreds of thousands of dollars on a single mid-size operation. Growers watch the National Weather Service forecast the way traders watch market feeds. Hourly, compulsively. When a frost window appears, even a 48-hour forecast, the crews double up. 2 shifts, extended light hours using mounted orchard lights. Every available picker on the payroll moved into the threatened block. The urgency isn't dramatic. It doesn't look like panic. It looks like organized speed. Crew leaders with radios. Forklifts moving bins toward the road faster than usual. Transport drivers running shortened routes. The whole system accelerating without braking. The apple does not stop moving once it leaves the tree. Transport bins, wooden field bins, roughly 4 feet by 4 feet by 2 feet deep, are lifted by orchard forklifts and stacked onto flatbed trucks within hours of being filled. The window between picking and cold storage is not flexible. Grade A certification requires that fruit reach controlled atmosphere storage at 32 to 36 degrees Fahrenheit within 4 to 8 hours of harvest in warm conditions. Cold storage facilities are positioned throughout the valley. Large corrugated metal structures surrounded by truck traffic during harvest weeks. Some facilities hold 40,000 to 60,000 bins simultaneously. The air inside is managed precisely. Oxygen reduced to 1.5%. Carbon dioxide elevated. Temperature held within a fraction of a degree. Under controlled atmosphere, a Gala picked in August will still be Grade A in March. That is how a summer harvest becomes a year-round supply. Not magic, not preservatives. Cold air management and precise timing. Loading dock managers at the larger storage operations. Run 16 to 18-hour days during peak harvest weeks. Tracking bin counts from multiple orchards. Coordinating incoming truck schedules. Managing cold room sequencing to ensure newly harvested varieties don't contaminate stored lots with ethylene gas. The natural compound that accelerates ripening. This is the invisible logistics layer that most consumers never see. The apple on the shelf in January passed through a chain of temperature-controlled decisions that began the moment it separated from the branch. The 2nd week of October is typically the valley's most compressed moment. 3 or 4 varieties are often in simultaneous peak harvest. Fuji blocks on the east slopes. Braeburn coming in from the lower valley. Late-season Galas from higher elevation orchards where the ripening runs 2 weeks behind the floor. Labor is shared across operations. Not all growers run their own crews. Many use farm labor contractors who manage the workforce across multiple employers. When the valley peaks, those contractors are receiving call requests from 6 different operations at once, all of them claiming their harvest window is critical. It is. They are all correct. Crew rotation decisions become strategic. Which block is closest to frost risk? Which variety has the smallest margin for delay? Which grower's contract has yield penalties for late delivery? The people making those calls are often crew supervisors in their 40s and 50s who have worked this rotation for decades. They carry the valley's harvest calendar in their heads the way experienced mechanics carry torque specs. Exactly, without having to look it up. By 6:30 p.m., the light is failing. The last bins from today's Fuji block are being moved to the road. A forklift driver runs 3 more trips in near dark, his headlights catching the dust rising between the tree rows. The crew leader does a final walk through the block, checking for unharvested clusters, looking for drops on the ground. Anything left behind is noted. The grower will know the completion percentage by morning. Workers board the transport vans in the last of the evening light. There's not much conversation. 8 hours in the trees produces a specific kind of tiredness, not just muscular, but visual. The constant pattern recognition of searching for ripe fruit inside a canopy, thousands of times in a single shift, leaves a particular fatigue behind the eyes. Dinner. Sleep. 4:50 a.m. again. For the next 3 to 5 weeks, the rhythm does not change. By the first week of November, the last Granny Smith and Pink Lady blocks will have cleared. The numbers by season's end are significant. Approximately 11 billion pounds of apples harvested, tens of thousands of cold storage bins sealed, hundreds of semi-loads moving daily toward packing houses, distribution centers, and export terminals at the Port of Seattle. The crews will begin dispersing. Some stay in Washington for late-season work. Others move south toward California. Some return home and wait for the next visa processing cycle to begin. The orchards stand empty. Pruning crews will arrive in January. They'll work through the dormant months, shaping the trees for next year's fruit set. The irrigation systems will be rechecked. The frost monitoring stations will be recalibrated. By March, the first buds will break, and in late August, when the Brix levels climb again in the early Gala blocks, the headlights will return to the valley. The same routes, the same trees, different hands and familiar ones. The field goes quiet until next season. Under this video, there's a subscribe button. It's a small action, but it helps document the work that happens before the shelves are stocked. If you're drawn to the rhythm of the harvest, to the crews who move with the seasons, subscribing simply means you want to see how America feeds itself. And tell us, where are you watching from? Have you ever worked a harvest? Have you seen one? Share your experience below. That's how these stories travel.